This video is to explain how to write a review. Now in this video we're only going to focus on two different types of reviews. We're going to focus on a film review and we're going to focus on a book review and how to write these reviews. But before we look at the different types of reviews, we need to actually understand what is a review. So a review is a personal response to show your overall impression of a piece of literature, work of art, restaurant experience, film, theatre experience. So you will note, we even see this on our social media, such as Facebook. The moment that you check into a place, it pops up with a notification of write a recommendation, or would you recommend this restaurant, write a review on it. And generally when we come to reviews, think about the little stars. What would you rate a restaurant, or what would you rate a book or a movie? This is all part of a review. So points to remember when you are writing a review. We need to understand that a review is subjective. It is the personal point of view of an individual. Every person is different, and every experience can be different for every person. One person can go and watch a movie and think that is the best movie that they've ever seen. But another person can go watch the exact same movie, nothing's changed, and they will think that is the worst movie ever. So we need to remember that a review is a personal point of view. It's a personal viewpoint. So it is subjective. It is someone's opinion about something. We need to remember that when we are writing a review, it is in present tense. We must use adjectives and emotive words. We need to show our own thoughts and feelings about a topic because of the fact that this is our opinion on something. But when we are saying our opinion about something, we need to be practical. So we need to reference certain bits. If we say that something is brilliant, why is it brilliant? If we say that it's absolutely horrible, well, what made it horrible? So we need to be practical in our viewpoint. We also need to make sure that we comment on technical aspects of something. So if we're going to watch a play at the opera house, we need to make sure that we comment on everything, on the technical aspects of the opera house. What was the lighting like in the theatre? What was the stage like? What was the decorations like? Was the sound good? Was your viewpoint good? Could you actually see the stage? And the last bit here, that judgments need to be made. So we need to judge something, but we must also make recommendations, and these can be included. So what you can do in a review, you can also offer a suggestion or an alternative recommendation to something. So let's focus on the two different types of reviews that we're going to look at in this video. So the first type of review that we're going to look at is a film review. So in a film review, these are the things that we need to have. So we need to have our basic information. We need to have, what is the film called? We need its title. Who directed the film? Because they're ultimately responsible for this film that we have watched. What year was it released in? How long was it? And were there any age restrictions on the film? So these are the basic bits of information that we will have right at the top of our film review. Then, in the body of our film review, we need to have our summary. And this is all the bullet points that we need to make sure that we have included in our film review. What is the setting of the film? When does the story take place? Does the story take place in the future? Does it take place in the past? Does it take place in our setting there? Does it take place on Mars? Is it on Earth? What country is it on Earth? So all of those things need to be included. Who is our narrator? Is perhaps one of the characters narrating the story? Is it from their point of view? And in link or line with that, we need to know who are our main characters. And in your film review, because obviously in a film we have actors who are portraying these characters, you will have the names of the main characters, but in brackets you can then also include the name of the actor. So what we also need to have is we need to have a sequence of important events. We need to have a little bit of information about the plot. Now it's very important. Don't spoil the movie for us. Don't tell us the ending, but we need to know exactly what the story is about, because if I'm reading this film review, your film review will decide, am I going to go watch this film or not? So tell me a little bit about what is happening in the storyline, so the plot, and then what I also need in a film review is your reaction. What did you think about the movie? Was it a good film? Did you enjoy the film? Why was it a good film? What about it made you enjoy it? Or maybe if it wasn't a good film, why wasn't it a good film? Why didn't you enjoy it? What you can also do in a film review is compare this film to another film that the director has done. So if you've seen other films by the same director, was this movie as good as those other films that he's or she's made, or was it worse than the other films that the director has made? And explain the comparison. And the last thing that you always need to include in a film review is, would you recommend this film to others? And if you would recommend the film to others, who are the people that you would recommend it to? So if we're going to be looking at a comedy or a funny movie, you would maybe recommend that this movie would be best for people who enjoy comedy. Horror movies, for those people who enjoy horror movies. So that essentially is what we need to include in a film review. So let's have a look at a quick example. So here I've got a film review, and I can see right at the top there my title. So we start with the film's title. So we are going to review the film The Hunger Games. What they've also included here is that they've included what genre it is. It is a sci-fi adventure film. So it is the type of film. And then I can see the year at which it was made. Now, this bit here, this first paragraph, tells me a little bit about the story. Okay, a little bit about the film. This is the plot, and it doesn't give away the ending. So there are no spoilers. So in the future, so it tells us exactly when the film is set. It's set in the future in the USA. So in the future, the USA is a new country called Panem. Every year, the capital of Panem chooses 12 boys and 12 girls to go on a TV show called The Hunger Games. In this TV show, the teenagers have to fight until there is only one person left. Katniss goes on the show, and she has to run fast and fight to save her life. So there in that first paragraph tells me exactly what the film is about without giving away the ending or any important spoilers. Right. Second paragraph starts to explain a little bit about the opinion of the person who's writing the review. So what is your opinion about this film? So the person has written, I love the actors in this film. And we've mentioned the actors here. Jennifer Lawrence, Liam Hemsworth, and Josh Hutcherson are fantastic as Katniss, Gale, and Peter. My favorite character is Katniss because she is very good at running and fighting. Also, I think that the film is good because it is exactly the same as the book. So right there in that last paragraph, they have explained and justified why they have said that this is a very good film to watch, because it is exactly the same as the book. Now the last bit here, I give The Hunger Games 5 stars. Go watch it soon. So this review tells us that they have said that this is 5 out of 5. It's really, and we can see from the key here that it was a fantastic film, and they recommend that we go watch it soon. So there is an example of a film review, and we need to make sure that what we include at the end of this is we need to have our word count at the end. But now, which words do we count? You're not going to count the title or the little facts of information, but what you will count is what you've included in your summary. So where you've set the scene, you've stated when the film took place, who the characters are, your suggestion, and your recommendation. So that the body of your film review is what you account for your word count at the end. So that's a film review. The second type of review that we're going to focus on now is a book review. So a book review, very similar also to a film review. We need to have the title of the book. We need to have the names and the author, names of the author and the publisher of the book. Then in our body of our review, we need to have information about the setting, the theme, the message, the genre, characters, and the style of book. We need to know a little bit about the storyline. So include the beginning of the storyline, but not the end. So just like a film review, we don't want any spoilers. We need to include the reviewer's assessment of the book's quality and worth. So if you are writing a review on Goodnight, Mr. Tom, you need to, as the reader and as the reviewer, you need to assess, was this book good? Was it bad? Was it worth reading? If it was worth reading, why was it worth reading? Or why wasn't it worth reading? And then you also need to make a suggestion with regards to who would like this book. And is this, so for example, Goodnight, Mr. Tom is the grade 8 novel. You can say in your suggestions here that this is a very well suited book for grade 8 or for young readers. So that is what you would then include in your end bit of your book review. And then you need to make sure that right at the end, you include your word count. So let's have a look at an example now of a book review. So this is a book review for the novel I Captured the Castle by Jodie Smith. So there's my title, I Captured the Castle. We can also see that it's in italics here and it's underlined because it is my heading as well as the title of the book. So it's written by Jodie Smith and it was published by William Heinemann. So let's read the review. Jodie Smith's novel, I Captured the Castle, is a journey through the mind of a young writer as she attempts to chronicle her daily life. 17-year-old Cassandra Mortmain has recently learned to speed write, and she decides to work on her writing skills as describing the actions and conversations of those around her. Cassandra lives in a 14th century English castle with an interesting cast of characters. Her beautiful older sister Rose, her rather unsociable author father and his second wife, artist model Topaz, Stephen, the garden boy, a cat and a bull terrier, and sometimes her brother Thomas when he is home from school. One fateful day, they make the acquaintance of the Cotton family, including the 2 sons, and a web of tangled relationship ensues. While I definitely recommend this book to other readers, I would recommend it to older teenagers, mainly because it will resonate better with them. The writing is tame enough that younger teens could also read it, but most of the characters are adults or on the verge of adulthood. Older readers would take the most from it since they can not only relate, but they may also better pick up and appreciate Cassandra's sometimes subtle humor. Over the course of the novel, Cassandra undergoes a definite transformation from child to mature young adult, even though it's only over the course of several months. I love that I could see into her mindset and read exactly what she was feeling when she thought out situations. Her thoughts flowed well and moved the book along very quickly. Cassandra's narrative voice is wonderful. She is serious at times, but also very witty, which makes for an engaging read. It feels absolutely real, as though I'm reading someone's actual journal. Sometimes I forget that I'm reading a story and not a real-life account. Her emotions and her dialogue are so genuine, and they are spot on for a 17-year-old girl in her situation. Cassandra has many wonderful insights on life, on topics ranging from writing to faith to matters of the heart. I personally have had some of the same thoughts as Cassandra, except Miss Smith was able to put them into words. I Captured the Castle should be essential reading for aspiring writers, those looking for historical fiction or romance, or anyone who loves reading amazing classic books. Jodie Smith is an exceptional writer, and I Capture the Castle is a book that will never become obsolete. So that is the review on the book I Capture the Castle. Now, a couple of things that I want to note and I want to point out. Very important to see that any time they've mentioned the name of the book or the title of the book, they have put it in quotation marks, in single quotation marks. Now, because this is typed up on a computer, they've also put this in italics. But if you're going to be writing a book review on a piece of paper, you need to make sure that you write the name of the book in quotation marks when you're writing it out. Now we can see in this book review that she hasn't given anything away. We've learned in this second paragraph here a little bit more about the characters and who the characters are. And here in the third paragraph, the person who's reviewed this book has told us exactly who she would or he would recommend the book to. And then also she or he says why they have recommended it. So nothing has been given away. It tells us exactly what the novel is about and gives us a recommendation of who should read the book and why. So that is a book review. Those are the important bits to remember when you're writing a book review as well as a film review.